Story 1. The case caused anger. 7:00 p.m., July 15, 2004. At the criminal police station located on Zhongxiaodong Street, Taipei City, Taiwan, Wang Zhicheng, head of investigation team number 1, who was still at the station, said, "That night, two strange men walked in. One man identified himself as a computer engineer and said he wanted to report a crime. He even suspected that he was involved in a murder." The gentle and honest Lin Juncheng went with a friend. Even so, he was still apprehensive but remained calm and reported the crime. Engineer Lin reported everything as follows. "I was there around 5 a.m. on July 10th. My girlfriend Huang Liyan asked me to go to her rented house to help dispose of some items inside the Daizhong Mountain Area Center, Taichung. At that time, I threw away 2 bags, one large and one small. I still remember clearly because the contents of the bag were too heavy." Mr. Lin asked Li Yan why these things were so heavy. Li Yan said that it was a Japanese inflatable doll given to her by a friend who no longer needed it, so she had to throw it away. Then, he also brought out 2 bags from the carton. Due to carelessness, Mr. Lin's hand accidentally touched something inside. He immediately pulled his hand out and discovered bloodstains. Lin Juncheng immediately turned to ask Li Yan why there was blood inside this. The girlfriend replied that this new type of inflatable doll has artificial blood, which makes it look more realistic. "So why not throw it into the garbage trucks?" Mr. Lin asked curiously. "If you could throw it away, you wouldn't have to bother coming all the way here," Li Yan replied uncomfortably. Although he finds it strange because he wants to be a good boyfriend, Lin Juncheng has to listen and follow, trying to help Li Yan throw away these 2 trash bags. But after throwing away the inflatable doll, Li Yan also gave him 2 other things, including a mobile phone and a large kitchen knife. "Why the hell would you give me these strange things?" At that time, he looked at the knife and felt suspicious, because a year ago, he and his girlfriend had bought it at the store. As for where that cell phone came from, Li Yan did not say anything more. Mr. Lin felt confused and suspicious of his girlfriend's actions. Not only that, the next night, because they were afraid of being exposed, the 2 rode their motorbikes back to the same place to throw it deeper. After finishing work, Mr. Lam stayed in his girlfriend's rented room. Because Li Yan's strange actions made Mr. Lin more and more curious, he searched around the room. Unexpectedly, I discovered a note, the first few words of which were entirely in my girlfriend's handwriting. "The deeper the love, the more severe the hurt. The more you love, the more you don't let go." My body is imbued with the word love like a knife, cutting a fool. After seeing these words were written by his girlfriend, Mr. Lin was perplexed. Initially, there was nothing unusual about the 2's relationship. The words in this note seem like Li Yan is complaining, like blaming a particular love or resenting someone. Lin Juncheng felt unweller and worse, even when he returned home. The more he thought about it, the more strange it became. From the time he threw those 2 bags on Daizhong Mountain to the time he discovered the note, Mr. Lin connected those details and felt a shiver, so he brought all 3 things, including the note, kitchen knife, and cell phone, to the police station to report the incident. The police began to confirm step by step. First, they took the kitchen knife and sent it straight to the forensic department for analysis. Wang Zhicheng immediately took over the case and led the investigation team. He and the team quickly boarded and headed south to Taichung. The team's significant goal is to find those 2 bags of suspected rocks. Only then will the case reported by Lin Juncheng be established. Wangao Liao is located in Daizhong, Taichung Highlands. This is a night view park for couples. From here, you can observe the entire view of Taichung City. From here, going deeper, there will be fewer people and fewer houses. The team and Lin Juncheng had to stay overnight in this area. Then, at dawn, they continued moving to Daizhong Mountain. On the morning of July 16, 2004, we started from the surveillance camp, past the military camp, and then turned right. Right here under an overgrown ditch, first they had to clear the grass slowly, remove the grass manually, trim it carefully, and then split up into many directions to search. Finally, they found the first bag, which was a small bag covered with 3 other black plastic bags. The last layer was a human head wrapped tightly with tape around it. Mr. Lin was immediately dumbfounded and kept asking, why could this happen? He was petrified because he still suspected it was the inflatable swimming doll that his girlfriend had talked about. The head has been found, meaning this is a brutal murder. So, where is the rest now? According to Lin Juncheng, he threw the big bag down the ravine. After that, the whole team had to search for a long time, everyone praying that they would find the remaining parts to comfort the victims and help them reclaim justice. Group 2 was 200 meters away, near the cemetery area, below the hillside. The weeds were overgrown, and there were many flies around. As they walked closer, they indeed found the remaining large bag. Along the steep slope of about 90 degrees and about 100 meters deep, they slowly pulled the big bag up. Opening it up, the inside was also wrapped in 6 other black plastic bags. Inside is also the torso of a headless body. The all-day search finally had results. The victim was found to be a man. His body was naked without a piece of clothing, and all jewelry, such as rings, had been removed. This proves that the perpetrator somehow did not want to reveal the victim's identity. After the initial assessment, compared with information about recent disappearances, the victim's identity was determined to be Tycoon Zhao Dan Xiong, 34 years old. A week ago, on July 9th, Zhao Dan Xiong lost contact after going out. Family members also reported the incident soon after. 67-year-old Zhao Mingnan, Mr. Zhao's father, filed a police report on July 13th. It wasn't until 4 days later that he received this shocking news. Lin Juncheng still couldn't believe his eyes. He still thought if his girlfriend Li Yan wasn't the murderer, then maybe she also knew something. While with the investigation team, Lin Juncheng suddenly received a phone call. On the other end of the line was Mr. Huang Liyan's girlfriend. Captain Wang reminded Mr. Lin to speak calmly and not let Liyan get suspicious. Mr. Lin asked where she was, planning to meet up for dinner, but she said she was also in Taipei. Captain Wang quickly told Mr. Lin to let the two meet at a hotel in Taipei to escort this woman. Huang Liyan also agreed to that meeting and arranged to meet at 6 p.m. near Taipei Central Station. Wang Jicheng's team and Mr. Lin immediately set out to return to northern Taiwan. At 6 p.m. on July 16, 2004, in front of a hotel on Zhongxiao Dong Street, police were deployed everywhere. They mixed with civilians. Because it is after work time, it is crowded with people. They quickly located Mr. Lin and took many different photos to compare and eliminate. They finally found the silhouette of the person they were looking for. A woman only about 1.5 meters tall, wears glasses, and has a thin and quiet body. She wore a green shirt, red pants, and a backpack, stood in a corner near the hotel, and waited like any other ordinary girl. This person even looks weaker. Hard to believe that this is all the investigators are thinking right now. However, Captain Wang and his teammates walked towards the woman. They asked her to return to the police station to cooperate in the investigation. Li Yan suddenly denied it. She said it was confirmed that her surname was Huang, but she also asked if there was any mistake here. Why do I have to go to the police station with you guys? Wang Zicheng expected to have these answers, so he firmly affirmed, we have had a number of cases where we urgently need your assistance. Please help us cooperate with the investigation. Come with us to the station. I'll explain it to you. When they got back to the police station, they started to get information. And Dad asked this suspicious woman. Huang Liyan is 38 years old, only 1.5 meters tall, weighs 45 kilo, and currently has no stable job. Taichung District Prosecutor Han V. Triet took charge of the case, and the interrogation of Huang Liyan began. When asked about her relationship with Zhao Dan Xiong and everything that happened, this girl broke down and burst into tears. Huang Liyan declared the entire incident as follows. 2 years ago, she went to get her phone repaired in Taichung and accidentally met Mr. Zhao at his electronics store. After that, The two talked back and forth and gradually developed feelings. After about a year of confusion, Li Yan discovered that Boss Zhao had a family. Despite discovering this truth, the two still go back and forth more often. It wasn't until early 2003 that Li Yan discovered she was showing signs of being pregnant. When telling this to Zhao Danxiong, the two argued, and Mr. Zhao told her to abort the pregnancy. Huang Li Yan also had an abortion right after that. Still, Zhao Danxiong also wanted to break up and cut off his relationship with her. Li Yan even said that Mr. Zhao often assaulted and beat her. At that time, she could not keep her child and fell into a state of collapse. Huang Li Yan continued calmly until one morning, a week ago, Mr. Zhao got drunk and came to the rented house to look for her. While intoxicated, the two disagreed and then argued, leading to a fight. Li Yan resisted fiercely. At that time, Mr. Zhao picked up the kitchen knife, and while being careless, Li Yan quickly snatched the knife and put it down, telling Mr. Zhao to sit down and talk and advising him, "Let's not come close." But Zhao Danxiong kept coming closer and rushed towards her. Li Yan followed inertia, raised the knife to defend himself, and did not cut. Because the force of the attack was too great, the knife cut into Mr. Zhao's neck, and then Mr. Zhao bled too much and died. Huang Li Yan thoroughly thought she was innocent. She proved that she was not the murderer because, at that time, she was only defending herself and accidentally caused Zhao Danxiong to lose his life. If that's true, why was the victim's head separated from the body? Huang Li Yan replied that I found the part of the neck that was cut into to be very ugly, so I separated it from the charcoal part so it would look more beautiful. Nan Vai Triet was shocked by this answer. Besides, if it was manslaughter, Li Yan should have quickly gone to the police and confessed everything. Why did it have to be slaughtered and then disposed of? Huang Li Yan still didn't say anything more. After that, she just said that because Mr. Zhao's body was too heavy, she called Mr. Lin to help him. Finally, I gave him the kitchen knife and Mr. Zhao's cell phone. The first result returned from forensics was that the knife that engineer Lin Dao submitted found Zhao Danxiong's DNA on the blade, and the mobile phone also belonged to him. Returning to Huang Li Yan's initial testimony, all her answers fell into the hands of Prosecutor Nan, making him feel wrong about this woman. She is only 1.5 meters tall, weighs 45 kilos, and her voice is a bit weak. In general, a small and weak person like this, how could attack a person with an average build like Zhao Danxiong, who is 1.78 meters tall? What's even more strange is that they searched her entire rented house and didn't find any traces of blood, human tissue, or even hair residue in the toilet. Whether this case is genuine, as reported by Huang Li Yan. The victim's family also received this sad news, and they cried bitterly before Zhao Danxiong's funeral. Mr. Zhao and his wife have been married for many years. They have 2 young sons, one is 6 years old and the other is 4 years old. His son's birthday is coming soon, and the family is waiting for Mr. Zhao to return to celebrate his son's birthday. The sound of 2 children outside the door waiting for their father to return. Who would have thought that their last reunion would be like this? Just because of an adulterous relationship between 2 people, an entire family was destroyed. 2 weeks after the incident, an autopsy produced unexpected results from Zhao Danxiong's body. No physical injuries were found on the outside of the body. On Mr. Zhao's neck, they did not find any knife marks, and it was immaculate. On the contrary, the cause of death was due to the knife cutting very decisively and straight down from the neck. This is not by accident or coincidence. There is also something more unique. Inside Zhao Danxiong's body, forensic doctors found 2 different ingredients of sleeping pills. Analyzing further, the first type is a potent drug, and the second type is average. By the time they discovered it, they had found the second type. Although it is at an average level, it is enough to make a person feel comfortable for a short time and then cause them to lose consciousness immediately. So, from these 2 details of the autopsy results, it is enough to indicate that actually Zhao Danxiong was intentionally murdered, not manslaughter, as Huang Li Yan said. What horror is this woman hiding in her soft appearance? Huang Liyan said that during the time she had feelings for Zhao Danxiong, she was under a lot of warranty. But when they searched, they couldn't find any trace of the warranty. Lin Juncheng was naturally very afraid of this, so he had to listen because he was scared of losing his love. 416, July 10, at Songshan District, Taipei location, Engineer Lin prepares to leave for Taichung. At 3:45 on July 10th, after arriving in Taichung, Mr. Lin took an overnight bus to the meeting point, a supermarket on Xinhong Road. Still, it was not until after 5 a.m. that Li Yan drove a motorbike to pick him up, to her rented house. The police went to verify this and found that Lin Junchen was not lying. Forensic doctors determined Zhao Danxiong's time of death to be around 2 a.m. But at this time, Mr. Lin was still on his way to Taichung. How could he have killed Mr. Zhao around that time? This time. From there, it follows that if Lin Juncheng is telling the truth, then there is only one person lying. Nan Vitriet said he really hates Huang Liyan's personality. She loves to talk and explain everything, even explaining things in detail. Faced with the prosecutor's suspicions and constant questioning, she didn't even utter a single curse or strong reaction. Prosecutor Nan was forced to change the way interrogation was done. He asked more gentle, simple questions related to her life and love for Mr. Lin. Huang Liyan continued to speak, and Prosecutor Nan recorded each time she answered. However, those statements are inconsistent, whether they both went to the shopping center to buy sewing supplies, went to the sack store to buy sacks, or went to a buffet to have lunch. Nan V. Triet also went to each place to verify with the manager, and all results showed that Huang Liyan had lied a lot. Returning to this woman's second testimony, she said Mr. Lin had suffocated Mr. Zhao to death. Still, Mr. Zhao's autopsy results showed no signs of pulmonary edema. Furthermore, Zhao Danxiong was someone who had never drunk alcohol in his life, but they found ingredients of red wine in his body. In addition, Huang Liyan said that Mr. Zhao had a habit of taking sleeping pills, but when they checked his health records, there were no health or mental problems. Zhao Danxiong has never taken sleeping pills and doesn't even like taking them. This second confession was also completely false, and some people even provided more information about this woman. In 2002, she moved to Taichung to work, and then met and fell in love with Zhao Danxiong. Her rented room was only 50 meters from her boss's electronics store. The landlord said that Zhao Danxiong often came to her room every night. When someone asked, she would only say he was her brother. During the time his relationship with Zhao Danxiong was about to end, Huang Liyan repeatedly called and harassed Mr. Zhao and even threatened his wife. Nearby neighbors often saw this woman coming to Mr. Zhao's store after midnight. Once, they even saw this woman splashing paint on Mr. Zhao's car. He even stole the car and drove over 100 km/h on the highway, then crashed into a police car and was arrested by the police. Her engineer boyfriend said that her relationship with Mr. Lin was still excellent, but her friends said that a year ago, the two had argued for a long time. Regarding the relationship between Lin Juncheng and her, they learned that in 2000, Li Yan participated in an online dating association and met Lin Juncheng. However, Mr. Lin also added that in those 4 years of dating, he had never even held hands. Basically, this relationship is one in which Mr. Lin thoroughly pursues Li Yan. When asked about this, Huang Liyan began to challenge the prosecutor. She wondered who had said that my relationship with Mr. Lin was not good. Please come here, and I swear our relationship is excellent. We also love each other very much, and those are jealous people who don't want to see us happy. Investigators also brought her in to meet Lin Juncheng. However, she still firmly affirmed their feelings, from which they realized this woman was not simply an ordinary criminal. Huang Liyan is genuinely a liar and stubborn person. She even brought out her love, Lin Juncheng, to act as a shield to avoid her guilt. Meanwhile, Huang Liyan didn't think they had nearly enough evidence to convict her. The first hearing took place on November 10, 2004. and the Taichung District Procuratorate prosecuted the shocking murder case. A series of evidence was spread out in front of Huang Liyan. She kept explaining the reason, but Nahan Vitrier gave evidence. Finally, she couldn't say anything anymore and couldn't make excuses. Then, Prosecutor Nahan said that the person who killed Mr. Zhao was not Lin Juncheng. I give you one last chance. Who is the killer? All were silent during the trial, and they only waited for an answer from Huang Liyan. More than a minute had passed when she suddenly said this. Prosecutor, I told Engineer Lin that it was not the person who killed Mr. Zhao. I cannot say who actually killed him because that person was a benefactor to me. Everyone in court that day was dumbfounded. Nan Vitriet also had to wonder what she was actually talking about and why there was a third person there. Huang Liyan still refused to plead guilty, even though he had been brought before the court. The police admitted that they had never encountered a case like this. In addition to the sleeping pills found, they also recovered 5 of her phones. After reviewing and restoring all call records, there were only 2 contact numbers. One number belonged to Zhao Danxiong, and the other number belonged to Lin Juncheng. There was absolutely no third person there. She once again lied to everyone immediately after being asked again. Prosecutor Nahan asked her if she said there was a third person who could not speak, so how did he act? Huang Liyan again changed the story that the person who killed Mr. Zhao was Mr. Lin, and there was no third person. Last time, I intentionally said that, so that Mr. Lin could also hear this, look at himself, and see if he felt embarrassed. Nan Vitriet then smiled and said, "Okay, the case ends here, that's enough." Although Huang Liyan still refuses to plead guilty, this case has come to an end, thanks to sufficient evidence. So, investigators pieced together the entire incident and all of Huang Liyan's crimes as follows. On the night of the incident, Zhao Danxiong went out to drink tea and chat at a friend's house. Around 11 p.m., someone called Mr. Zhao. That was Huang Liyan. Right after that, at 11:13, she also sent a text message inviting Mr. Zhao to her rented house to have sex one last time. When Mr. Zhao arrived, Liyan mixed 2 sleeping pills into a glass of red wine, causing him to lose consciousness. Then, use a knife to kill him. Next, inside the rented house, Liyan cleaned it up and called Mr. Lin back to Taichung to help her dispose of the body. Huang Liyan planned this entire case. She knew that Lin Juncheng loved her very much, so she took advantage of him, even using Engineer Lin as a shield to blame all the blame on him. And I thought that Mr. Lin would definitely help me hide everything in silence. But in the end, because of suspicious actions, Lin Juncheng then had to be wary of his girlfriend. The verdict in the first trial was that Lin Juncheng was guilty of conspiracy in disposing of the body and sentenced to 8 months in prison. Huang Liyan was charged with murder and dismemberment and requested the death penalty. However, at the second trial on August 16, 2005, the Taichung First Instance Court sentenced him to life in prison. It deprived him of his citizenship for life. After careful consideration, she had an abortion forced by Zhao Danxiong, so it will more or less affect your health and spirit. However, during this time, she continuously filed appeals, and Zhao Danxiong's family expressed extreme frustration at the court's ruling. On October 31, 2008, at the final trial, Huang Liyan's appeals were rejected and the life sentence was upheld, plus the request for compensation of 40 million NT for the victim's family. During the trial, when asked how much money she was willing to compensate the victim's family, Huang Liyan sneered at the judge and said, "Why do I have to raise his child? What about an abortion for him? Is 40 million too little, or do you guys want 80 million? Until the end of the case, even though she was convicted, Huang Liyan's attitude was still too inhumane, and the 2 men related to her both received the harshest consequences. Although Zhao Danxiong knew he could return to his wife and children after having an affair, it was too late, leading to his death. Lin Juncheng the person who loved her the most but was used to frame her for murder, was also arrested for conspiracy. Standing before the victim's family in the court, Huang Liyan has never shown any remorse, not even an apology. Story 2. Blind love just because of a bad boy. The stormy relationship between 19-year-old Rachel Wade, who suddenly became a murderer, and 18-year-old Sarah Ludeman, a victim, started a year ago because of a guy. But for now, perhaps we need to talk about each person in this messy and toxic relationship. Sarah Ludeman was born on December 7, 1990, the only daughter of the Ludeman couple, who only had children after being married for 16 years. So Sarah is their only and most adorable daughter, so much so that Sarah's mother often calls Sarah God's gift or miracle child. Growing up in the love of her parents, Sarah became a pure and innocent child, and her academic achievements were also outstanding. She is a good child and has never been scolded by her parents. Sarah's life is peaceful because she imitates Britney Spears songs and dances with her friends, and she admires other celebrities on TV and tries to study well. Then her simple life begins to change rapidly when she meets a 19-year-old boy named Jos Camacho. Sarah's friend Amber Ayala often went to the fast food restaurant near the neighborhood. Jos was working behind the kitchen, and he stuck his head out and winked at Sarah. Then Sarah started paying attention to Jos for a reason. That wink. Having been teased by her friends for being chubby since she was young, Sarah quickly fell in love with Jos when he told her she was beautiful and just. It even made her feel like she was the most special person in the world. From then on, the first love of an innocent teenage girl flourished, so much so that Sarah no longer had any room for family or school, but only focused on her lover, Jos. The more she is with Jos, the happier Sarah is, and the more she considers him as everything in her life. Jos Camacho is a student who has nothing in common with Sarah. He calls himself Pim Daddy and is proud to say that he has so much experience with women that he knows exactly how to capture their hearts. Jos is also wrong because he mainly depends on girls and also got his girlfriend pregnant, but then didn't take responsibility. With those bad habits, it's easy to understand that when he's in love with Sarah, he also meets at least 5 other women, one after another, according to the weekly schedule. One of them is Rachel Wade. Rachel was born on February 27, 1990. Like Sarah, 19-year-old Rachel was born and raised in a harmonious family. Rachel has been loved for her beautiful appearance since childhood, and she is a happy child. However, when Rachel turned 15 years old and entered puberty, she began to show signs of rebellion, often opposing her parents, meeting her boyfriend, and violating curfew. Rachel's father, Barry, warned his daughter that nothing good would happen if she went out after midnight. However, Rachel's deviation does not listen to these words, and it becomes even more severe when Rachel goes through puberty. Specifically, Rachel was arrested by the police while doing adult things with her 19-year-old boyfriend in the school parking lot. Not only that, but after that, the police were continuously mobilized to search for Rachel because it was reported that she ran away from home 14 times because of conflicts with her parents. Rachel's parents tried to take their daughter to see a psychiatrist, but in the end, Rachel didn't get better. She even dropped out of high school when she was just 16 years old, left home, and started an independent life to make money. The war started on social networks, and day after day, the innocent Sarah became more and more blind in love and gradually lost her dream. Specifically, she gave up studying in the Veterman training program just to move to normal high school, where Jos was studying. Sarah wants to take this opportunity to tell the world that she is Jos's girlfriend. But contrary to Sarah's eagerness, for some reason, Joss never confronted her directly at school, never held her hand while walking, or revealed that she was his girlfriend. Even though he shows obvious signs of being such a bad guy, when Sarah and Joss are alone together, he always knows how to make Sarah feel that only Sarah is unique to him. So, as is easy to predict, Sarah's faith and love for Joss grew deeper and deeper. Like other teenage girls, Sarah often posts photos of herself and Joss on social networks, believing that Joss is her true love. And with each passing day, she kept dreaming about their future. Then suddenly, one not-so-nice day, Sarah received a shocking text message from a stranger named Rachel, the content of which was something she never wanted to believe was true. "I'm his girlfriend. Who the hell are you?" Sarah immediately asked Joss about the incident. Joss, of course, hid it and quickly reassured her by denying any relationship with Rachel. Sarah didn't want to lose Joss, so after listening to Joss's persuasion for a while, she decided to believe him. On the side of the person who was angry and sent vulgar text messages, Rachel was also asking about his relationship with Sarah and demanding to break up. But Joss convinced Rachel by saying that he and Sarah were having a social relationship. Joss begins to control the two girls, Rachel and Sarah. What friends can they meet, and what clothes are they not allowed to wear? The two girls were controlled physically and mentally by Joss in the name of love, and gradually began to hate each other, because she believes that she is Joss's real girlfriend. Neither of them realized that it was Joss who was playing with their feelings. Just like that, Rachel and Sarah irritated and mocked each other on social networks and sent hate messages through text messages and voice messages. Joss incited competition between the two girls, even though over the next few months, Rachel and Sarah continuously posted photos of themselves with Joss on social networks solely for the purpose of irritating each other. On Sarah's side, a good-natured girl has now changed to the point of being unrecognizable. It pains Sarah's parents and friends to do nothing but watch her change. Not to mention the fact that after starting a battle with Rachel due to mental suffering for 6 months, Sarah lost 15 kilograms. On the other hand, Sarah's life becomes even more pathetic when she also has to deal with her ex-girlfriend, who is raising Joss's child. Sarah's self-confidence hit rock bottom. She compared herself to Rachel, afraid that Rachel would win Joss. In the end, Sarah's parents had to accept Joss to avoid losing their daughter. Her father tried his best to understand and protect the family by taking Sarah and Josh to the baseball field and trying to schedule more time at home together. However, this peacefulness did not last long, as the competition between the two young women showed no signs of stopping. Still, it began to spread from online to real life. Long after the two fought, Sarah and her friends went to the Applebee's restaurant, where Rachel worked as a waitress to get revenge. Sarah and her friends sat in the area Rachel was in charge of and began to disrupt Rachel. Sarah's behavior at the restaurant became more and more daring. Sarah and her friends also followed Rachel on the way home from work and attacked Rachel with pepper spray. Even later, Sarah and Joss went to Applebee's restaurant, always saying that he was the one who captured Joss to annoy Rachel. April 14, 2009. When Sarah came home from school, the first thing she did was turn on her computer and check Rachel's posts on social networks. But everything was strangely quiet. Sarah was also sad after arguing with Joss. She immediately sent him text messages, but Joss didn't reply. 1:06 p.m., whatever, Joss, I'm mad at you about everything. But I don't care what she did or said to you. I always believed her. It seems like no matter what I do, she's always better than me. All our fights are about her or something related to her, and of course, that sucks. I hate arguing with you. I love you so much, but this is also painful. Hours passed, and Sarah tried again. You say you love me, but aren't you polite enough to text me back with even one text message? Finally, at 2 p.m., Joss texted back, bringing the movie discs here. Sarah quickly posted on MySpace, I love you, baby, then happily left home in her mother's small car. On the way to Joss's house, Sarah passed by the apartment where Rachel was living alone, honked the horn and shouted to stay away from my man. Rachel waits for Joss without knowing that Sarah is going to meet him. At this moment, from an enthusiastic girl, Rachel felt scared. She was afraid that Sarah and Sarah's friends would come to harass her again. After confirming that Sarah had left, Rachel put the weapon from the kitchen in her bag, and then went to her ex-boyfriend Javier's house. Around 11 p.m., Sarah was playing games with her friends when her father announced that curfew was approaching. Just as Sarah was about to return home, Joss received a text message from Rachel. "I know why you didn't reply to my message. It was because you're with Sarah." Javier's house is only a few blocks away from Joss's house. So while Rachel is going to Javier's house, she discovers Sarah is with Joss. The hatred between Rachel and Sarah reached its peak. Joss was drunk after drinking 5 glasses of vodka. So the guy who had always said she loved Rachel suddenly sent a provocative reply, making Rachel mad. "Joss, that's right. I don't like you anymore. Why are you coming to this area? Go home." "Rachel, no. I'll wait until she gets home." Sarah, who is about to go home because her father called her, is distraught that after she returns home, Joss will come to see Rachel again. But because of the curfew, Sarah had to go home, remembering to give Joss's sister Janet and her friend a lift so they could stop at McDonald's on the way. But throughout the short drive to McDonald's, Sarah was tormented by anger and anxiety. Coincidentally, at that moment, Sarah happened to meet her friend Ashley in the lane next to Sarah. She immediately expressed her discomfort to Ashley and also told her about what had just happened in the text message between Joss and Rachel. Coincidentally, while Ashley was driving, she accidentally saw Rachel standing in front of Rachel's ex-boyfriend Javier's house. So she immediately told Sarah this story. At 2 a.m., Sarah arrived in front of Javier's house and got out of the car with her friends. And Rachel was standing in front of the house when she saw Sarah coming down and ran over. 2 people fought in the middle of the road. Sarah was the one to attack first. Rachel bowed her head and swung her arms, and the fight lasted about 8-10 seconds. Suddenly, Sarah and Rachel stopped fighting. Sarah walked back to her minivan, clutching her chest. Sarah fell into the driver's seat and could barely pick up the phone. At this moment, she clapped with the desire to hear the voice of her lover Sarah gasping and telling Joss that she was in so much pain, then lost consciousness. Rachel looked at the weapon she was holding and threw it onto the roof next door, then returned to Javier's house. Rachel's cell phone rings, and Joss asks where she is. Joss quickly went to Sarah's house to inform her father, Mr. Charles, that Sarah had encountered something. Joss and Mr. Charles arrived at the scene and witnessed Sarah lying on the cold ground, surrounded by medical staff. It turned out that Rachel was still hiding her weapon when Sarah rushed forward to attack. The gun that Rachel swung out pierced straight into Sarah's shoulder and heart. Rachel was sitting there blankly, not seeming to understand what she had just done. According to testimony from witnesses, the police arrived at the scene. They took Rachel to the police station while she was sitting and smoking in front of Javier's house. In the video in the interrogation room, Rachel explains to police officer Michael her relationship with Joss and the grueling fight she had with Sarah. Rachel admitted that she had threatened Sarah before. Still, Rachel insisted that after that, she just wanted Sarah to leave her alone. Rachel pretended to be the victim and pretended not to know that Sarah had been stabbed. However, police officer Michael pressed Rachel that a witness claimed to have seen Rachel approach Sarah with a weapon. And Rachel admitted that that night she hid at Javier's house because she was afraid that Sarah would come with her friends to beat her. As expected, Sarah arrived and thought that if she held a weapon, Sarah and Sarah's friends would not attack her anymore. However, at the time of the incident, Sarah used her fist to hit Rachel in the head first. She also swung her fist towards Sarah to defend herself, forgetting that she was holding a weapon in her hand. Rachel continued to claim that she was only defending herself and said 3 people tried to beat her. Police officer Michael did not accept this answer and immediately asked Rachel when she saw Sarah and her friends approaching. If Rachel was so scared, why didn't she run home and call the police instead of swinging her hands to fight back? Rachel said that after fighting with Sarah, she did not notice that Sarah collapsed because Joss's sister continued to attack her until a few minutes later she received an angry phone call from Joss. Sarah was taken to the hospital but died because she couldn't stop the bleeding. Sarah's father, Mr. Charles, took Joss to the hospital, but Joss refused to see Sarah, and when the couple confirmed their daughter's death, Joss was gone. Rachel said this is not what she wants. She just wants Sarah and Sarah's friends to stop following and harassing her. The police decided to interview Joss about the cause of this tragedy. Rachel was charged with second-degree murder. Arguments in trial, July 20th, 2020. Rachel's defense attorney targeted Florida's Just Defense Law to protect his client. Specifically, Florida's legitimate defense law passed in 2005 allows a person not to have to run away, but to use force or weapons to fight back if someone threatens to cause harm, injury to your body or life. Rachel's lawyer pointed out that Sarah went to an uninvited place late at night with her friends and attacked Rachel first, and that Rachel had never been in a fight before. She was terrified of fighting with Sarah, who was physically quite tall. The lawyer asserted that Rachel's attack was in self-defense. Initially, the jury found the defense's arguments convincing. However, the prosecution said Rachel was a jealous ex-girlfriend and claimed that Rachel intentionally harmed her rival, Sarah, in order to monopolize Joss. In addition, the prosecution also argued that Rachel's actions immediately after the incident proved that it was not an act of self-defense. Not only that, the prosecution also released a voice message that Rachel left for Sarah 8 months ago as convincing evidence of Rachel's murderous intent. Rachel's defense team argued that the recorded voice messages were merely insults exchanged between two teenage girls and could not be taken seriously as death threats.